On May 24, 2015, Liverpool were beaten 6-1 away at Stoke City in the final game of the 2014-15 season. Whilst it was a bitter way to bow out for Liverpool legend Steven Gerrard, it was a tremendous end to the season for Stoke City. In the near 5 years since that game, Liverpool and Stoke have faced very different fates. Liverpool have risen from the periphery of the top four to two-time Champions League finalists, Champions League winners, and Premier League champions-elect prior to the current season being suspended. Stoke City, meanwhile, have been relegated from the Premier League and have come closer to dropping into League One than they have to making a return to the top flight. During this period of social distancing and reflection, though, we wanted to give the Potters fans the chance to reflect on happier times at the Bet365 Stadium. Stoke City had an eclectic squad with varied talents for that thumping win against Liverpool, and only two of their starting 11 from that game are still at the club. With that in mind, and following a few suggestions from our wonderful subscribers, let's take a look at the Stoke City starting 11 that beat Liverpool 6-1 in 2015. Where are they now? Asmir Begovic, AC Milan. Born in modern-day Bosnia, then Yugoslavia, but raised in Germany and Canada, Asmir Begovic moved to England to play football at the age of 17. Following 3 years representing Canada at youth level, Begovic became Bosnia's number one in 2009, and he has won 61 caps for his native country since then. Begovic joined Stoke from Portsmouth in 2009 following a string of loan moves, initially signed as backup to Thomas Sorensen. Within a season, Begovic became the Potters' number one, and he went on to play more than 170 games for the club. In 2015, Begovic joined Chelsea as a backup to Thibaut Courtois, although he still made 33 appearances in 2 seasons. In 2017, Begovic left Chelsea for Bournemouth, where he spent 2 seasons as number one before being overtaken in the pecking order by Aaron Ramsdale this season. Begovic spent the first half of this season on loan at Karabakh in Azerbaijan and the second half on loan in Serie A with Italian giants AC Milan. Geoff Cameron, Queen's Park Rangers. Versatile United States international Geoff Cameron was brought to the Premier League by Stoke City from the MLS in 2012, and he spent the next 6 years in Staffordshire. Following 186 appearances for the club, Cameron spent last season on loan with Queen's Park Rangers, and he made that move a permanent one on a free transfer last summer. Cameron has been capped 55 times by the USMNT, although he hasn't won a cap since 2017, and the 34-year-old has become increasingly injury prone over the last few years. Ryan Shawcross, Stoke City. A Stoke City legend who ranks 8th in the club's all-time appearance charts and top in terms of players during the Premier League era, Ryan Shawcross is Stoke's current longest-serving player. Born in Chester, Shawcross came through the youth ranks at Manchester United. He registered just 2 appearances for the Red Devils, both in the League Cup, before joining Stoke on loan in 2007. That loan move eventually became a then-club record £2 million permanent deal in 2008, and Shawcross was an immediate hit under Tony Pulis. An uncompromising man-mountain of a centre-back, Shawcross won a cap for England in 2012, and next season will mark his 10th year captaining the club. Marc Muniesa, Al Arabi. A popular figure during his 5 years at Stoke City, Marc Muniesa is a centre-back very much not in the mould of a Ryan Shawcross. Standing at just 5'10", Muniesa is a gifted ball-playing centre-back with fine technique and a good range of passing. Also capable of playing at left-back, Muniesa was at one time one of a few ex-Barcelona players at the Bet365 Stadium, and it was in La Masia that Muniesa began his career as a 10-year-old. Muniesa played 4 games for the Catalan Giants before sealing a surprise move to Stoke in 2013, where he spent 4 injury-interrupted campaigns in the club's first team and a further year on loan with Girona. Stoke sold Muniesa to Girona on a permanent deal in 2018 for €5 million, but the Spaniard terminated his contract when the club were relegated from La Liga in his debut campaign, and subsequently joined Qatari side Al Arabi on a free transfer. Erik Pieters, Burnley. Mark Hughes' first signing as Stoke City manager was PSV fullback Erik Pieters. Honest, athletic and industrious, Pieters fit in well with the rest of the Stoke squad, and he spent 6 years contracted to the club. In 5.5 seasons, Pieters registered more than 200 appearances, spending his final half season contracted to the Potters on loan with Amiens in Liga. Last season, Pieters brought the curtain down on his time with Stoke, returning to the Premier League in a £1 million move to Burnley, where the former Dutch international has since made 17 appearances. Steven Nzonzi, Rennes. Subscribers to this channel will be well aware of the fact that I'm a big fan of Steven Nzonzi's, but he has had a pretty rotten couple of years. Nzonzi was absolutely sensational during his 3 seasons at Stoke, and he won the Stoke City Player of the Year award in his final season in Staffordshire. Perhaps it was because Stoke aren't the most fashionable club, but Nzonzi's talents always seem to go unnoticed by the top teams in the Premier League. Instead, Nzonzi joined Sevilla, where he had 3 excellent seasons winning the Europa League and later the World Cup with France. It was in the summer of 2018, the one in which he became a world champion, that Nzonzi left Sevilla in a move to Roma worth more than €25 million. His debut campaign in Italy was a mixed bag, but last summer Roma decided to try to shave some of their high earners off their wage bill, and Nzonzi was deemed to be expendable. He joined Galatasaray on loan for the 2019-20 season, but was suspended indefinitely by the club for being disrespectful during a training session in December, and returned to Roma in January 2020. As a result, Nzonzi was loaned out again for the rest of the season, returning to France in a temporary move to Rennes. Glenn Whelan, Fleetwood Town. Veteran Republic of Ireland international Glenn Whelan spent almost a decade at Stoke City and was another admirable servant to the club. The industrious defensive midfielder was signed by Tony Pulis from Sheffield Wednesday in January 2008 during a season in which the Potters won promotion to the Premier League, and Whelan made 338 appearances over the next 9.5 seasons. Whelan left Stoke City 6 months before he was due a testimonial in a £1 million move to Aston Villa, adding experience and know-how to a talented Championship squad. He made 73 appearances in 2 seasons at Villa Park, helping Villa win promotion back into the Premier League in his final campaign. Aged 36, but not yet ready to wave goodbye to the sport, Whelan then had 5 tumultuous months north of the border at Hearts before joining League One side Fleetwood Town in January on a deal running until the end of the season. Jon Walters, retired. Signed by Stoke City from Ipswich Town for £2.75 million in 2010, Jon Walters turned out to be an inspired piece of business by Tony Pulis. Walters spent the next 7 seasons at the Bet365 Stadium, scoring 62 goals in 271 games, making him Stoke's second highest scorer of the Premier League era. Walters left Stoke in a £3 million move to Burnley in 2017, but he barely featured and retired in 2019, having failed to recover from a serious Achilles injury. Walters now does bits and pieces of punditry. Charlie Adam, Reading. Former Liverpool midfielder Charlie Adam made his former employers pay in the final game of the 2014-15 season, scoring Stoke's 4th goal of their 6-1 rout. Adam was in a rich vein of goal-scoring form at the time, and that goal was his 5th in his last 8 games. He joined Stoke from Liverpool in 2012 after just 1 season at Anfield, and went on to play 179 games for the Potters. Adam was keen to extend his time in Staffordshire last summer, but he was informed by then-manager Nathan Jones that he would be allowed to leave the club on a free transfer. Aged 34, Adam now plays for Championship rivals Reading, with whom he has scored 2 goals in 15 games. Marko Arnautovic, Shanghai SIPG. A frustrating figure at the Bet365 Stadium, Marko Arnautovic had some brilliant moments at Stoke City, but he was rarely consistent. The towering, athletic and 2-footed wide man left the Potters in 2017 for a potential £25 million, joining Premier League rivals West Ham. There was some bitterness surrounding Arnautovic's departure, since the Austrian had dug in his heels and submitted a transfer request. West Ham fans were delighted with Arnautovic's first 18 months of football at the London Stadium, but in January 2019, he did to them as he had done to Stoke, stating his intention to leave following an offer from the Chinese Super League. West Ham convinced Arnautovic to stay following a 20% pay rise, but he kicked up a fuss again in the summer and eventually joined Shanghai SIPG for £22.4 million. Arnautovic has since scored 10 goals in 16 games, but Shanghai best hope that no one comes in with a better offer for him anytime soon. Mame Biram Diouf, Stoke City. The only Stoke City player from their starting 11 that beat Liverpool 6-1 in 2015 that is still with the club, other than Ryan Shawcross, is Mame Biram Diouf. Diouf led the line that day, scoring 2 goals inside 27 minutes to kickstart Stoke's emphatic victory. That was Diouf's first season at Stoke, having joined the club from Hanover, and it was also by far his best. He scored 12 goals in all competitions, and in his next best season since then, he has only scored half that amount. In fairness to the former Manchester United striker, he played all over the place in the following few years, including a significant spell playing as a wingback. Diouf has played well at times since his debut campaign, but has just been hopeless in front of goal, and he's only made 6 appearances this season. That was the Stoke City starting 11 that thrashed Liverpool 6-1 almost 5 years ago, but before I leave you, a quick word on the 3 substitutes that afternoon. The first of the three was Peter Odemwingie, a man who won more Premier League Player of the Month awards than Ryan Giggs, Eden Hazard or Luis Suarez, but is still best known for rocking up at the QPR training ground on transfer deadline day. Aged 38, Odemwingie retired following a season in Indonesia in 2018. Next up was utility man Mark Wilson, who spent 6 seasons at Stoke, but has seen his stock fall gradually since leaving the club in 2016. He is currently out of contract, most recently having played for troubled Bolton Wanderers. Last but not least, Stoke's final substitute of the afternoon was the introduction of another former Liverpool player in the form of Peter Crouch. Stoke's highest scorer of the Premier League era, Crouch retired last summer following a spell at Burnley, and now does both punditry as well as hosting a podcast on the BBC. Stoke's manager for that match was Mark Hughes, who is currently out of work, most recently having managed Southampton. That's all for today's video. I thank you all for watching. I sincerely hope you enjoyed the video. Feel free to hit the like button if so, and obviously make sure you're subscribed to HITC Sevens. Oh, and also, if there are any Stoke fans watching who are new to the channel, then I don't know if you've heard about Neil Franklin. He is possibly your greatest player, along with Stanley Matthews, and if you would like to find out more about him, head to www.englandsgreatestdefender.com.